If you're looking to activate that Limitless chip in Matchday 3, don't worry, I've got you covered with the ultimate guide in today's video. Now before we dive in and go and take a look at the team itself, I think it's important to take a look at which teams we should be targeting and also look through some potential predicted data as well. So we're going to start off with my guide for Matchday 3 and which teams you should be targeting. I've kind of put them into tiers. You've seen this kind of if you've been watching any of my Euro content for any of these videos. I have been putting the teams into tiers. So tier 1, probably 2 to 3 assets. Tier 2, maybe 1 to 2. And then tier 3, I think are probably the gamble picks in my estimations, to be honest. So tier 1, we've obviously got Portugal, England, Belgium and Spain. Now they're all in here for very, very different reasons. I think Portugal, still yet to play their Matchday 2 game, will go and win that one. But they will be playing Georgia in Matchday 3. Again, there's going to be some rotation, but they still have the quality, I think, to go and very comfortably beat Georgia in Matchday 3, go and top this group and finish it in style. So I think for them, it might be looking at some of the rotation players, the players that are coming off the bench, that might be potentially more appetizing options. I'm thinking more like the João Felixes, the Leaos, you know, these type of players, the Ramoses, that haven't seen many minutes so far at this tournament, but could in Matchday 3 get few, you know, start the game. And obviously they're still playing lesser opponents and still going to have the high probability of scoring and winning games. So I think that is kind of where Portugal and probably Spain fit into that bracket as well. Both of these teams, especially after Spain's result tonight, they're probably going to top this group, let's be real. So they are probably going to rotate, but even their rotation options are still pretty decent. You've got the likes of Iosi Perez, who looked pretty decent towards the end when he came on, Ferran Torres. Obviously, Grimaldo's a pretty popular pick at the start of the game. Obviously, that's kind of faded away, but still could be a decent option if we know he is going to play that game. Especially Spain from a defensive standpoint, I think up against Albania. Even some of their rotation options could be decent options for this match day. England and Belgium do fit into a slightly different category on the tier 1. England, obviously, they're still not through. They got 4 points. They probably realistically only need 1 more point in their final game. Again, realistically, they should be winning. But you never know what could happen with this England team, to be honest, especially after today. I think offensively, it's not quite correct. But usually with England lineups as well, we should get kind of the lineup a few days before. That's how kind of it works. Sky somehow magically end up with that lineup. So if we see people maybe like Palmer, Eze, Bowen, maybe these type of players potentially in that lineup, could be something to potentially look for. For me personally, I think it's probably going to be the defence that I think is the best area for to target for England. Yet to concede under 1 expected goal over the whole course of this tournament. So defensively, England are doing things right. I know they conceded today and didn't, you know, at times looks a little bit sloppy. But if you look at the XG conceded chart over the 2 games, they've been pretty decent. Mark Gahey as well for ball recoveries. Jordan Pickford for saves as well. Very, very decent options in my opinion. And then Belgium, again, yet to play in match day 2. But you feel even if they win that game, they're still going to need another point or potentially 3 to still somehow claw out of this group as well. So obviously, it does depend how that Romania game goes and whether or not they need any more points in their final game. Probably realistically they are. So again, their options still going to be pretty good against the Ukraine side who looks pretty dismal in match day 1. Tier 2 picks, it's a lot of teams that are kind of playing against each other. Well, they're all playing against each other really and have to go and win these games. So they're going to be very attackive. You know, obviously, you know, it's the final game for them potentially, so they've got to, you know, go out there and put absolutely everything into it. So we've got Hungary, we've got Scotland. Again, realistically, I'm probably just going to target the talisman for these teams, so Dominic Szoboszlai and probably Scott McTominay. Everyone else I'm probably not going to look at, especially defenders for these games. I imagine they're going to be quite wide open, even if the stats and the data does suggest, you know, some teams are going to keep clean sheets. I think with the nature of the games themselves, I think they're going to be quite open, topsy-turvy games where, you know, you never know what could happen in these games with the pressure and teams, you know, obviously mounting on further pressure as well if they are, you know, needing goals to qualify for this game. Same situation with Denmark versus Serbia as well. You know, Serbia on 1 point, Denmark on 2. Realistically, they both need a win out of that game to get themselves out of the group. So again, could be one of those where attacking options are definitely on the cards for those ones. And then the tier 3 teams, Romania obviously look very good in matchday 1. They've obviously got Slovakia in matchday 3, so a pretty decent fixture and have a good opportunity to get out. I do imagine that they are going to lose to Belgium in matchday 2, so again, they're going to be full strength for matchday 3. So maybe some defensive options, maybe Dennis Mann as well could be a potential little cheeky little pick if you did fancy going down that route. And then again, Turkey do fit into that one. They look quite good in matchday 1. They're playing Portugal in matchday 2, so you know, realistically on paper before this game is even being played, you would have to say that Turkey realistically are probably going to lose that game, but we never know. These things could change, but ideally they probably will. So again, for matchday 3 against Czech Republic or Czechia, however you want to pronounce it, you know, realistically, they're going to need at least a point. So again, probably going to be pretty full strength. So let me know what you think of the teams to target in the comment section. Let me know as well if I have potentially missed any teams out. Moving on to some predicted data from Elvenify. If you do want to go and check out their amazing work, a link to their Twitter and their website is in the description, or as you can see in the top left-hand corner, their Twitter as well is in that part of the screen, if you like. So this is predicted goals. Again, these were created before the tournament did kick off. Rob T FPL, I think is his was kind of done more updated ones, but he hasn't done a matchday 3 one yet, so I will probably include that in either my team selection or in the preview stream or in the deadline stream as well. I'll obviously be retweeting that and liking that as well. That one is a little bit more up to date and kind of fluctuates with each one. But Elvenify's was done at the start of the tournament. They've basically said as well that they don't expect too much to kind of change in terms of these predictions according to their models as well. So let's start off with predicted goals. So we've got England and Portugal leading the way for matchday 3. I think off the back of some of these England performances, that predicted goals does look a little bit silly, to be honest. England haven't been very good creatively, but I think with such a poor performance against Denmark, there will be a change. And with England, you know, playing a lesser of an opponent, let's not you know, obviously joke around here. Serbia had plenty of opportunities against them today, so realistically, England are probably going to get them as well. So their attacking options are definitely still on the menu. I think a lot of people though might have in their minds recent England performances and their lack of creativity. But again, let's see how that team lines up. But again, could be one to target. Portugal, we've obviously spoke about them. Again, if they beat Romania in matchday 2, it probably is looking more likely the rotation options. Again, same with Spain. Having beaten Italy tonight, you do imagine it is probably going to be more of the rotation options that are going to be options. France are a team yet that kind of we've not talked about. Again, they've got a nice easy fixture against Poland. I think they realistically probably are going to go third or potentially out of that group, and you would expect France to go and win that one. Again though, France, if they beat Netherlands, you do feel like they potentially could be through already. So again, could be some of the rotation options. Giroud, Griezmann, Dembele, people like that might be a little bit more of potential options for that one. Germany, they're pretty much already through to the next stage as well. They probably want to go and win the group itself, so we'll put out still a strong side, but again, it's probably more rotation options like Leroy Sané that we're probably going to be looking at for this match day. Belgium up there as well, we obviously spoke about them. Netherlands as well, I think if they lose to France tomorrow evening, definitely a team again that could be potentially on people's radars. And then some other ones in the mid bracket, Denmark, Italy and Czechia, and Turkey and Serbia, pretty tasty options as well. Down the bottom, some teams probably to avoid. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Slovenia, Albania, Georgia, Poland, Switzerland and Ukraine, all probably teams I would be looking to avoid from an attacking standpoint. Moving on to the defensive clean sheets, I think England are definitely a team I would be looking to target. Like I spoke about, XG conceded so far at the tournament has been pretty decent. Mark Gahey as well has been an absolute menace for ball recoveries. Picked up 9 today as well. 53% probability on the final match day for a clean sheet. So again, I'm probably looking at going for that double England defence. Spain as well is probably picking some of their rotation options, but Albania still have a lot to play for in the tournament, so it would not surprise me to see Albania go and get themselves a goal and be well up for this game. So maybe you've got to be a little bit more hesitant on the Spanish options. Portugal up there as well again, but again, it's getting that rotation right. France, same situation. Germany as well. There's a massive drop off from those front four all the way down to Germany, Belgium, Hungary and Italy and Romania, because I do think this match day 3 is a little bit more harder to predict where teams are going to get clean sheets. You know, Hungary with 31%, they're playing against Scotland. realistically, if they're Hungary go 1-0 up and Scotland need to go and get a goal, they're going to start throwing bodies at it. They're going to, there's so much at play in these final ones that I think sometimes stats need to be kind of viewed sometimes with a lens of perspective. And I think that definitely is the case for matchday 3. Some teams probably to avoid in terms of a defensive point: Switzerland, Ukraine, Albania, Poland, Georgia, Slovenia. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. But let me know what you think about the potential data for matchday 3. Has Elvenify got it right, or have they got it wrong? Let me know in the comments section. And the moment you have all been waiting for, it is my Limitless Draft for matchday 3. Let's dive in. Let's talk about the goalkeepers. Starting off, we're going to go for Jordan Pickford and Diego Costa from Portugal. I think with England, like I've spoke about throughout the whole of this video, the XG conceded data throughout the tournament so far has been very, very good. So I do expect that continue into the matchday 3. And as we saw with Elvenify's data as well, one of the top teams predicted for a clean sheet in that final day, and I don't really expect that to kind of change, to be honest. Jordan Pickford picked up quite a few save points as well throughout this tournament, so I think for me, with us having unlimited budget, he seems like a pretty sensible pick. England still have a lot to play for as well, so I don't think there's any risk of rotation. In terms of the other goalkeeper, Costa, there is that slight chance of rotation if Portugal do go and win in matchday 2, and potentially, they might swap around goalkeepers for the final match day. I don't quite see it happening. I still would like a Portugal defender up against Georgia, with obviously the really good clean sheet odds that Elvenify did predict, and kind of just from an eye test perspective, I would expect, Portugal to go and keep a clean sheet in matchday 3. So I would like a Portugal defender. Maybe it's not going to be the goalkeeper position. Maybe when we find out Portugal's kind of predicament for matchday 3, we might have to go and change that position. But at the moment, we are going to go with Costa in goal. Moving into our backline, we're going to start off with Theo Hernandez. I thought he looked absolutely phenomenal in matchday 1, all the way down that left-hand side. Put a lot of balls into the box, especially those low cutbacks that are so effective as well. I think, obviously, if France don't have anything to play for, I might potentially look at other French defenders going into this match day. Again, as you can see from Elvenify's predicted model, had really good clean sheet percentage odds. But at the moment, we're going to go for him. I think he's got that attacking data. Obviously, there's really good chance of a clean sheet for France in the final match day. But again, it is dependent on what they need going into that final match day. Do they still need to go and pick up a win, or will they be comfortably through and maybe rotate? That obviously determines Theo Hernandez's starting position within my side. Moving on to our next defender, again, it is going to be Marc Guéhi. He has been absolutely immense for ball recoveries. Picked up 9 ball recoveries. I think he was a little bit unfortunate not to go and pick up the Man of the Match award as well in that game, to be honest. Was England's probably best player of the day, to be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. There wasn't much competition for that one. Again, very good predicted clean sheet odds for England. So I think Marc Guéhi is a very sensible pickup at 4.5 million. Again, though, we are on the Limitless. We've got that unlimited budget, so it's not too much to worry about. But I still think he is an absolute steal at that price. So maybe if you're on the wild card or just looking for a transfer this week, he could be a decent pickup. Moving on to our next defender, a player yet to play any minutes so far at this tournament. It is going to be Grimaldo. Obviously had a fantastic season with Bayern Leverkusen in their unbeaten season. Yet to play a minute for Spain, like I said, which is a little bit of a concern. But with them beating Italy tonight, you do feel like they are comfortably through to the next round. They're playing Albania in the final game, so I do think there is going to be some rotation. Marc Cucurella has been absolutely phenomenal at this tournament, especially for ball recoveries as well. So I do expect Grimaldo to potentially see some minutes in matchday 3. They're probably going to rest Cucurella. He is going to realistically be that first choice left back, for the kind of duration of this tournament. I might potentially look at other Spanish defenders if we kind of do get any news. But at the moment, Grimaldo, I think he's got that attacking potential, but it is a bit of a gamble, a big risk with him playing 0 minutes so far in this tournament. But like I said, Spain do have a high probability of a clean sheet as well. It just feels like a little bit of a gamble. We're on the Limitless as well. We've got good cover on the bench, so it could be one of those players that does extremely well for us on match day 3. Moving on to our 2 defenders on the bench, we've got Wout Faes. He was a ball recovery machine in the opening game for Belgium. Like I said, even if they win in match day 2 against Romania, you still feel like they are going to need at least a point out of that final game, so it probably is going to be still full strength for them. And Wout Faes at 4 million, I think he's better than all the other Belgium defenders as well, and proved that with the ball recovery numbers that he put up in match day 1. Our other defender, a very much a standout performer against Ukraine, it is Dragusin, the Spurs defender. Obviously, they still have a high probability of getting out of this group. You knew, imagine as well, they are probably going to lose to Spurs, but if they do progress, you know, it is probably going to be because if they pick up any points in matchday 3, a win or a draw is probably what they're going to need. They do have pretty okayish clean sheet odds, and I would expect them to do quite well in this one. So I would like a Romania player for the final match day. Moving on to our midfield, we're going to start off with Dominik Szoboszlai. Matchday 2 wasn't really his kind of cup of tea, was it? It wasn't really Hungary's game, to be honest. They looked out of it, but still do have a chance to progress out of this group if they do go and pick up a strong performance and a strong kind of win against Scotland. You do imagine with him being on free kicks, corners, penalties and all that, he is the key man, so that is why we have gone and picked him up. So far this tournament, he has picked up 1 assist. He's looked okay, but Scotland probably is the game where, if any game, he is going to cook in this tournament. Like I said, lots to play for him, so a big game. There's probably going to be plenty of room as well, which is something he's not experienced so far in this tournament. So it could be one of those players that does extremely well on the final match day. My next pick is Leroy Sané. Germany pretty much through to the next round. We're also going to get the German team news before the game actually takes place, so I think that way we can basically cherry pick who we would like out of the Germany players. Still really good clean sheet odds, still really good attacking odds as well. Switzerland could probably do with a draw out of that game. I think both teams would probably be very happy with a draw. It means they secure first and second, so it could be a little bit of a stalemate, but you do feel like players for Leroy Sané, Falkirk, if they want to obviously start in the knockout games, they need to impress in this final game. So I think for me, the Germany spot is a little bit open, and it's kind of just cherry picking when we obviously do get the kind of lineups out. Sané's been coming off the bench so far around the 60th minute, so I do feel he will start in this final match day. Moving on to our next pick, it is going to be Scott McTominay. Again, I've spoke about that Scotland-Hungary game being quite an open one. Hungary defensively as well have been a little bit kind of sus at this tournament. So have Scotland, to be honest. Scott McTominay did score a goal in match day 2, and you do feel like he is probably the only Scotland player you would want for that final match day. Again, that just feels like a game that could be very open, could go each way, both teams looking for the win, and you do feel like these bigger players or these talisman players could be the ones that do pop up with the goals and assists. Moving on to our next midfielder, it is going to be Christian Eriksen. Obviously, I owned him for match day 1. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I thought Højbjerg put in a very impressive performance today, so he might be one to potentially keep an eye on if you want on the Limitless as well. But with Eriksen having the free kicks, corners, penalties, all that jazz, I think that does slightly edge him over Højbjerg as well. Match day 1, he was absolutely terrific. Serbia and Denmark both needing the win as well in match day 3 if they do have kind of any opportunity of progressing through this tournament as well. So again, feels like these big players will have to step up for their national sides. And then moving on to the bench, we do have Gula, obviously scored that wonder goal in match day 1 against Georgia. This again is all dependent on Turkey losing to Portugal in match day 2. If they do go and get themselves a point or even 3, then maybe it's probably not worth considering players from Turkey. But at the moment, him and Çalhanoğlu seem like the standout picks for me from that Turkey side, but I am slightly favouring him a little bit more. He's more further up the field, more attacking. Çalhanoğlu feels a little bit deeper than kind of expected prior to the tournament. So Gula feels like the player that you should be going from if Turkey do need something on that final match day. Moving on to our front line, we're going to start off with Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, this is based off, again, what they do in that Romania game. I still feel like even if they win that one, they're still going to need something out of the Ukraine game. Although he missed a load of chances in match day 1, his XG was still pretty good. He missed plenty of big opportunities, but he did have 2 goals disallowed. And you do feel like sometimes the look just has to change a little bit. Maybe it'll change in match day 2, but again, I think he still's a very, very good option for match day 3. Moving on to our other forward, it is going to be Cody Gakpo. Like I said, this is all dependent on whether or not France beat Netherlands. And if they don't, and they need something out of that final game, Cody Gakpo looked pretty decent. I wasn't overly impressed with Memphis Depay. Maybe if Wout Weghorst has a good game against France, he could be an option as well up front. But I feel like Cody Gakpo is the more exciting pick out of those Dutch strikers. I know he said Danish there, but out of those Dutch strikers for me, he could be a decent one. Picked up a goal in match day 1. Yes, it did deflect, but his numbers for the game were still pretty decent and played a large portion of the game. Again, like I said though, all dependent on what happens in that France game. And then finishing up is going to be Alexander Mitrovic. Match day 1 was disappointing, but match day 2, This guy had a lot of opportunities, created nearly 1 XG in the game as well, so pretty good underlying data to go with that. Again, I've spoke about it with Christian Eriksen. Both teams kind of need to win this one as well. He is on penalties for that Serbian side as well. Hit the post, had some big opportunities today. So again, could have been a very different situation and could have been a lot of people's radars for the final match day. But now with him not getting any points, I think he could potentially be a little bit of a hidden gem going into the final match day. So this was my Limitless team. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section below. It could also work for a wildcard one as well. There's not too many kind of big hitting assets, but yeah, like I said, let me know what you think of this team down in the comment section below. Is there anyone I missed? Let me know in the comments. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video as well, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. But thank you very much for watching and good luck in match day 3.